Good morning, slaves. We are not amused.
Kolchak, you are on it.
A 2-day-old, third-rate murder.
You are on it.
What about them?
They have other assignments.
You're beautiful when you're angry. Out. Out.
Gail Summers, a bubbly waitress at the Silver Spoon Diner, punched out after a long shift. Her smile, usually bright and welcoming, felt weary tonight. She just wanted to go home to her fluffy cat, Mittens. The air outside was thick with humidity, making the city feel like a sauna. Gail hugged her cardigan closer, her mind already on a hot cup of chamomile tea. As Gail turned onto Elm Street, the familiar unease of being alone in the city at night crept in. The streetlights flickered, casting an unsettling glow on the empty sidewalks. She quickened her pace, her thoughts pushing away the creeping feeling of being watched. Gail chided herself for being paranoid. It was just the city getting to her. The click of heels against the pavement echoed behind her.
Ignore it, just ignore it.
Gail tried to ignore it, focusing on the comforting rhythm of her own footsteps, but the sound persisted, growing closer. Her heart pounded against her ribs. She risked a glance over her shoulder. A tall figure, cloaked in shadow, was gaining on her. Panic swelled in Gail's chest. She clutched her purse tighter, her knuckles turning white. Her mind raced, desperately searching for an escape route. The street was deserted, the buildings looming like silent giants. There was nowhere to go except forward. Ahead, a narrow alleyway offered a sliver of potential refuge. It was a gamble, but it was all she had. Gail took a deep breath and bolted down the alley, her heart pounding like a drum in her ears. The alley reeked of stale garbage and something vaguely metallic. The darkness was almost complete, broken only by a sliver of moonlight slicing through the grimy buildings. Gail's breath hitched as she stumbled over a loose brick. She couldn't hear the footsteps anymore, but the silence was even more unnerving. She pressed herself against the cold brick wall, trying to control her ragged breathing. Her mind was a whirlwind of fear and confusion.
Did I imagine it? Was it just a trick of the shadows?
Before she could rationalize, a low hiss sent shivers down her spine. The darkness seemed to coalesce, taking the form of a woman. A heavy hooded cloak concealed her face, but moonlight glinted off something writhing within the hood. Snakes. Gail's blood ran cold as she realized with horror what she was seeing.
The woman took a step closer, her movements fluid and unnervingly silent. The snakes in her hair writhed and hissed, their scales catching the moonlight. Their eyes, cold and reptilian, fixed on me.
A low chuckle escaped the woman's hidden lips, chilling Gail to the bone. Terror rooted Gail to the spot, her body frozen in a paralysis of fear. She wanted to scream, to run, but her voice caught in her throat, and her legs refused to obey.
The woman's face, hidden beneath the hood, slowly tilted upward as if inviting me to meet her gaze. I couldn't tear my gaze away.
The woman's eyes met Gail's, and time seemed to stop. An unbearable cold spread through Gail's body, turning her insides to ice. Her vision blurred, the edges fading to black. The last thing she saw was the grotesque grin spreading across the woman's face before everything went dark. The morning newspaper lay open on Detective Michael O'Reilly's desk, the headline screaming about the bizarre death of Gail Summers. Her body, discovered in a dank alley, was a gruesome sight. Her eyes were wide with terror, her face frozen in a silent scream. But it was her body that baffled the seasoned detective.
Gail's body was as hard and unyielding as marble, every detail of her form perfectly preserved but cold and lifeless. The official cause of death was a heart attack, but I've seen my share of corpses, and this was like nothing I'd encountered before. There was no sign of struggle, no indication of what could have caused such a sudden and inexplicable demise.
The alley offered no clues, just the usual city grime and the lingering scent of fear. The incident reeked of the unexplainable, the kind of case that made O'Reilly wish he had chosen a quieter profession. Little did he know, this was just the tip of a terrifying iceberg, a chilling prelude to a nightmare that was about to grip the city. The news of Gail Summers' bizarre death reached Carl Kolchak, a seasoned reporter, as he battled a looming deadline. Kolchak, who lived for uncovering the truth, felt a familiar pull. This wasn't just another tragedy. Something dark and sinister lurked beneath the surface. He scanned the police report, noting the description of Gail's petrified body. A chill ran down his spine. He had heard whispers of similar cases, people meeting gruesome ends. Kolchak knew this was more than just a coincidence. There was a pattern here, a dark thread connecting these deaths. This was the kind of story Kolchak lived for. As Kolchak delved deeper into the case, a name began to surface: Medusa. The Gorgon with snakes for hair, her gaze capable of turning men to stone. Could an ancient myth be walking the streets, preying on the unsuspecting? The thought was absurd, yet the evidence pointed towards something monstrous. The city, oblivious to the terror lurking in its shadows. But for Kolchak, the clock was ticking. He could feel the presence of the creature, a suffocating darkness. Kolchak was not one to back down from a challenge. He knew the truth was out there, waiting to be uncovered. This was his city, and he would be damned if some mythical creature terrorized it under his watch.